Are we ready? First, let me just remind everybody a little bit about the weather. The heat advisory for New York City ended last night, but we still expect to see high temperatures throughout this week. And just high temperatures, even without an emergency declaration, can be dangerous, especially for those without air conditioning, the elderly, and those with chronic health conditions. So in response, we still have open 430 cooling centers throughout the city if you need some relief from the heat, and for their location and hours or more information to avoid heat-related illnesses, just go to nyc.gov or call 311. And throughout the hot, muggy weather, please continue to check in on your family and friends and neighbors, especially seniors, to make sure that they are okay. In that spirit, even in a city as large as ours, it's the spirit of community in our city, that a city as large as ours, that makes New York so special. And we saw neighbors helping neighbors as never before during the wake of Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy did present our city with an unprecedented challenge, and in so many ways, New Yorkers continue to rise to the occasion in helping our city battle back from the devastation that caused Sandy, or that Sandy caused. And that includes a number of New Yorkers who had previously run afoul of the law, but are turning their lives around by giving back in the communities Sandy hit the hardest. And it really is a good news story where kids may have fallen off the beaten path, but they understand that they're responsible for their own destiny, and they're trying to get back on the right road. In January, our administration launched NYC YouthWRAP, we call it, WRAP, the Weekend Restoration Assistance Program, WRAP, to connect probation clients between the ages of 14 and 18 to service projects in Sandy-affected areas. Now, at the time, some people wondered if we could get a group of teenagers out of bed at the crack of dawn on the weekend to put in a day's work on some of the most challenging restoration projects. Well, we not only got them out of bed, but they did great work throughout the 5 boroughs, repairing homes, distributing meals and relief materials, and helping to restore a number of city parks. And together, 200 NYC YouthWRAP participants have devoted more than 13,500 hours of service over the course of 25 weekends. In fact, YouthWRAP worked so well, I'm happy to announce that we're launching the next phase, NYC Summer YouthWRAP, a 7-week program that starts today. And it will enable participants to devote an additional 70,000 hours of service, and it fulfills a pledge that we made in our State of the City speech this year. More than 70% of the young people who joined YouthWRAP when we launched it in January will now begin serving in Summer YouthWRAP, and I'd like to thank the participants who have joined us this morning for all their hard work, so thank you very much. They are some of the 450 young New Yorkers who will begin work in 18 projects to support the ongoing Sandy recovery effort. And thanks to a partnership between the city's Department of Probation, Parks, and Health, as well as the Mayor's Fund to Advance New York City, which is administering funds for the program, and a number of community groups, YouthWRAP will allow these young people to provide meaningful assistance to families in storm drainage communities while earning money over the summer. Participants will be able to work up to 168 hours over the next 7 weeks and earn a total of $1,440 in stipends.
Right, yeah.
Now, by creating service opportunities through programs like YouthWRAP, we're helping young probation clients get their lives back on track. People with criminal histories often operate in a world with limited opportunities, and as a result, many are lured back into the same cycle of crime from which they came. But our administration, as you know, is determined to help them break that cycle and reduce recidivism. And the earlier we can reach them, the better. And NYC Summer YouthWRAP will help us do exactly that. It's also a great example of what the public, private, and nonprofit sectors can do to help people improve their lives when we work together. So with that, I'd like to welcome the man who's leading our efforts to help probation clients of all ages become active, productive members of their families and their communities, Commissioner Vincent Schiraldi. Vinny?
Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everybody. I say good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right, there we go. I'm really excited to be here this morning to launch New York City Summer YouthWRAP. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. We had a lot of unanswered questions when we started the first version of YouthWRAP in January. Would a bunch of teenagers be willing to travel from one end of the city to the other on cold weekend mornings? Would they work hard when they got there? And most importantly, would they buy into our message of giving back to those communities hit the hardest by Hurricane Sandy? Well, it turns out we had nothing to worry about. The answer to all these questions has been a resounding yes. In fact, a remarkable 108 young people are transitioning from the previous YouthWRAP to this summer YouthWRAP this summer. If you're one of those veterans, if one of those people who already did YouthWRAP, raise your hands, please. Raise them and wave them. All right, everybody, let's give a big round of applause to those young people who have stuck it through all the winter and now are here for the summer. Our veterans are being joined by 350 new folks. All you new folks, please raise your hands. All right. And based on our experience so far, I have every reason to believe that the vast majority of you are going to still be here on August 23rd when the project wraps up. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank everyone else who made YouthWRAP a reality. First and foremost, the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, which has been with us from the very start, hosting 6 projects this summer. I'd also like to thank the 12 community partners that are hosting projects. Everybody wave those project signs so we can see where you're all going. Raise them up high. These are the different places young people are going to be working out through all the 5 boroughs this summer. That gives us a total of 18 locations around the city where young people will be providing service. Finally, I want to recognize everybody at the Department of Probation who, in the challenging aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, took this sad and tragic situation and turned it into an opportunity for our young people to help the city recover. Lots of probation officers in every borough encouraged and referred young people on their caseloads to YouthWRAP and also worked with them all winter long. I'd like to also especially give thanks to Carolina Garrido, Mike Jones, Orlando Diaz, and especially Michael Ognebeni, my chief of staff, who has been a driving force behind this initiative. All right, now finally, I want to remind you this is not just a jobs program. It's not just to put a check in your pocket. You also have the opportunity to change the way people think about young people involved in the justice system, and that's a serious thing, and I hope that you all make the most of it as you go out and do your jobs. Thank you very much for being here today.
Vinny, thank you. Next up, Aquarius Petaway. He was one of the first participants when we launched YouthWRAP back in January, and he'll be starting work today on a project at the World Cares Center in Manhattan. And it's great to hear how this program is really making a difference in his life. Aquarius?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. It's going to be real hard. Good morning.
Good morning.
When I started with the YouthWRAP in January, I never could have imagined that I'd be here today. And I'll be honest with y'all, I signed up for YouthWRAP to get off the streets, plain and simple. It wasn't until I was in a program for a couple of weeks that I realized it wasn't just an escape. I'm too nervous for this. For one thing, the work was actually fun. For most of the time, I enjoyed myself. My favorite project was at Garrison Beach, where I learned to apply drywalls that had been damaged by the storm. Too nervous. I got my picture in the paper. I'm too nervous.
That's what I try to do, too. I give a talk and I try to get my picture in the paper.
I also became close to the few probation officers. I would never imagine I can't do this. I can't.
I just talk about it. Say what you think. Huh?
This is a bill.
I script the first time, you script the first time. Next time, here we go.
True. Which is another thing.
17 years. That's what I keep talking about.
I also became close with a few probation officers who led the project, which is another thing I never would have predicted back in January. Finally, I like doing something positive for people. and neighborhoods that were impacted by the storm. I've seen firsthand how much some people suffered, and it feels good helping them out. So here's my advice to all the new YouthWRAP to all the new YouthWRAP people that's starting and everything else, and feeling a little skeptical. Give it a few weeks. It's going to be a good summer. Thank you.
I didn't do any better my first talk. Trust me. Everybody does this. Well, thank you, Aquarius. We all give our first talk publicly. I remember screwing up just like you, and I still screw up. Good news is these guys don't write about my screw-ups. They write about what I meant to say rather than how I said it, right? Let me also thank three leaders in our administration whose dedication made this possible. The first is Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services, Linda Gibbs, who has done groundbreaking work to develop programs and services aimed at ending the disparities that keep young Black and Latino men from fulfilling their potential and contributing to our city. I also want to thank Parks Commissioner Veronica White, who has been tireless in her efforts to restore our city's parks and beaches in the wake of Hurricane Sandy. And I'd also like to thank Megan Sheikhy, president of the Mayor's Fund to Advance New York City, which has harnessed the power of public-private partnerships to help New Yorkers live better, healthier lives. And we also, I'm told, here is Monica Fosquet, Director of Capital Budgets and Economic Development in Borough President Marty Markowitz's office. And I want to thank Marty and Monica for their support in this important initiative. Before we take some questions, let me just summarize today's announcement for our Spanish-speaking audience. Estamos empezando un nuevo programa para conectar a jóvenes en libertad condicional con trabajos de verano relacionados a la recuperación del huracán Sandy. Este programa es parte de nuestro esfuerzo por reducir las reincidencias y el crimen. And with that, we'll be happy to take some questions.